and they did these Jagannath earplugs for me. So I went on to the Voice of Ukraine with these Jagannaths and Kantimals, and I thought, why not put on a tilak? And then, there you go. I have over 10 million views on this video with the tilak. Welcome to Successful Vaishnavas, episode 16 with Pierre Edel.
Hare Krishna. Welcome back to another episode of the Successful Vaishnavas podcast. In this episode, we will be interviewing Pierre Edel, otherwise known as Premamaya Vasudeva Prabhu, the famous devotee with the huge Jagannath earrings and tattoos, who went viral on Facebook when he appeared on the contest called The Voice, with his incredible singing voice, incredible range, which just blew away the judges and really impressed people. So we'll be interviewing him shortly. I'm actually uploading this episode before I have finished uploading the previous episode. We're just about to do it. That previous episode, of course, was the interview with Gitavali Devidasi, who published the Rise Up Bhakti Journal. So I was hoping that we'd be able to publish that episode before the Sacred Sounds Festival, before Easter. She had come to me at the end of last year and said, "Look, Prabhu, I've published a journal last year, and this year I'm publishing it again, and I was wondering if you could help me to promote it." And I said, "Yeah, sure." And so I gave a few ideas, and I helped her with some publishing options, and gave her a bit of coaching and feedback. And then I got the idea that if I could promote it before the Sacred Sounds Festival, that would be really cool. Because she'd actually got 100 extra copies. Amazon, she'd ordered the books from Amazon and they never arrived. So she went to Amazon and said, "Hey, I didn't get my books." So they republished the books. Basically sent her another 100 copies. And then after a short time, the original 100 came along. So she had 100 extra copies to distribute. So we took some to the Sacred Sounds Festival, and some were sold over there. And I was hoping that this podcast could help to promote it. But as it turned out, I wasn't able to get that done in time. But no problem. It's been 4 years since I did a podcast episode. So even if I missed my deadline by, a week or so, after 4 years, to have the podcast up and running again, it's a big success. So I'm not too worried about that. And if you're hearing this soon after I release it, you still have a chance to get in touch with Gitavali, because I think she still has a few extra copies that if you live in New Zealand and Australia, you can pick up for just the shipping cost. And if you live in America or other places, you'll be able to order it for Amazon, and it's pretty cheap anyway. And you've still got quite a lot of the year to go. So, that's basically just talking a little bit about the previous episode. And you may be wondering, well, why didn't I get it published in time? Well, after 4 years, I had become a little rusty on how the podcasts go to work, how they work and how to do it. If I'd actually just done it myself, I would have been able to get it up and maybe in time, if I didn't have other things going on, of course. But I really wanted to train my virtual assistant to do it for me. So even if I could have done it quicker myself, I felt it was important, a better use of my time to train her how to do it, rather than to put my time into it, so that in future, she'll be able to do the episodes for me. So I'll just have to do the recordings, and she can take care of the rest. And so it's taken a little while to do that training. But now that we've done that, we've got a good system. I've got everything documented so that things can really flow nicely. I've also refreshed the website. So if you go over to successfulvaishnavas.com, you'll see that it's got a little bit of a different design. And on the front page, it's got like a chooser. So you can let me know which are the areas you're most interested in, and I can help you in that way. So if you're interested in setting up a website or setting up a podcast, now's the perfect time to get in touch with me, because I've just been through the process of refreshing my website and podcast and training my virtual assistant in how to do everything. So it's very fresh in my memory. And if you're interested in doing a similar thing, you can save a lot of time and hassles by letting me help you to do it, because I've got the systems that I can just hand over to you. And a lot of it I can virtually just give to you because I've just done it myself. So get in touch with me on krishnendu at successfulvaishnavas.com if you're interested in doing something like that. As you can hear, I'm sounding a little bit more manly than usual today. I'm just getting over a cold. The Sacred Sounds Festival was awesome, but it was exhausting as well. And I think it pushed me a little bit over the edge, and therefore I came down with a cold when I came back. It might also have something to do with the change of weather. We had thunder and lightning this morning, whereas over in Australia it was nice and hot and, tropical. So that may have had something to do with it too. So just before we get into the interview, I'll just give you a little recap on the Sacred Sounds Festival. I found it personally really enlivening. The first day was an initiation by Indradumna Swami, and I was really inspired to see some young people getting initiated, only about 17 years old, from the secondary school over at New Govardhan. I visited the school last November for my sister-in-law's wedding, and I visited the school and I was really impressed by this group of senior students at the school that are just so into kirtan and, committed to Krishna consciousness, and seeing them take initiation was really inspiring. I could see that their parents were very proud of them. Their parents were, mostly Prabhupada disciples or senior devotees, and it's really great to see how, the devotees in this movement are also taking up, the next generation are also continuing the tradition and being inspired in Krishna consciousness. So that was the first day, and then for the remaining 3 days it was basically all about kirtan. In the morning, His Holiness Bhakti Bringer Govinda Maharaj was giving a class on Brihat Bhagavatamrita, the first part, which describes Narada Muni searching for the devotee who had received the most mercy of the Lord. Who was the best devotee? And particularly the last session was so moving and captivating. It was amazing. You can find the recording on Facebook or probably YouTube if you look up Sacred Sounds Festival. And next year Maharaj has promised to come again and do the second half of Bhagavatamrita, which is the story of Gopa Kumar's journey back to Godhead, going through many different lifetimes and searching for the perfection of life. Yeah, so that was the class part of it, and of course the main part of it is the kirtan. So they had an amazing group of kirtan leaders from the local devotees like Janardhan, supported by his team, like Advaita Prabhu with his waxed moustache and other devotees there, along with Sri Palad, and then you had Govinda Maharaj and his assistant, his companion, Akinchana Krishnadas, who's got an incredible voice, as well as Indradumna Maharaj. So each, the way the kirtans work is that the devotees sit up on a stage, and as well as, the basic mridanga, kartals and harmonium, they also have a sax player, trumpet player, and a violinist, and a bass player sometimes. So the kirtans usually start up very quietly and meditatively, slowly, and then at the end everyone's just dancing like crazy. So when I first went there, I was a little unsure. I was thinking, is this the old style Hare Krishna kirtan? Is this like a, deviation to do the kirtan this way? Because I was sort of thinking that, we're looking at the leader and there's sort of, the focus is on them. But actually the experience I had from being there was that the beginning part of the kirtan allows you to really focus on the holy name. It's very meditative. And then just dancing like crazy is a great way to associate with the devotees and, experience a taste in Krishna consciousness. I know it was awesome for my children. They loved the dancing part of it. Just dancing like crazy, and devotees doing crazy things like making pyramids and stage diving. Even the Swami's doing stage diving. It was just showing that Krishna consciousness is not stereotyped, and it can be a lot of fun for people of all ages. It was also great for kids because they had a program there, which they had a bouncy castle and arts and crafts and games and nice snacks. They really looked after the kids' basic needs, and they had a lot of fun. And then they also invited devotees to come and read stories, Krishna conscious stories, and to do kirtan. Sri Prahlad Prabhu went there and he led kirtan and he answered questions. Because he's a professor in psychology, my son asked him, he said, "Do you have any questions?" And he said, "Can you tell me what's psychological warfare?" Sri Prahlad's like, "That's a funny question." Anyway, that was just a little bit funny. So, so the kids are getting a nice Krishna conscious experience. They get to participate in the kirtan when it's, enlivening for them, and then they have these other activities that keeps them engaged and connected with Krishna consciousness as well. So it was an amazing festival, and I found it really enlivening because it was basically a time there where it was just about Krishna consciousness. There was no other work that I had to do or anything like that. So that was what I found the most enlivening, and it just reminded me, about what's most important. Yeah, so I met some devotees over there also, which was really great. Some devotees that I can interview in future. Some devotees that there's a devotee I already have interviewed. Well, a couple of devotees I've already interviewed, which we're getting ready to release shortly. And there was other devotees who I spoke with, that I might be able to help them with their business. Whether it's setting up an online course for them or helping them with an existing online course to help them promote their business. I got to find out about the tours that they're doing at the New Govardhan temple, which is really cool. Perhaps helping devotees to promote their yoga classes, things like that. So from Successful Vaishnava's point of view, it was also really interesting to meet devotees doing all kinds of cool things that I might be able to help them with, and who I might be able to interview for the podcast as well. So yeah, just in general, it just helped me reconnect with my mission, to keep it really simple, focus on Krishna consciousness, and really the thing I want to concentrate on is the Successful Vaishnavas program, which essentially means the podcast and the membership, and then serving devotees through that program, helping devotees to set up podcasts and set up Christian conscious businesses and things like that. I'm still doing a few other things on the side to make money while I'm still building up the Successful Vaishnavas project. But my vision is that ultimately I just want to dedicate my whole time to the Successful Vaishnavas project. However long that takes, I'll keep working at it, and I won't give it up. So that's a pretty big introduction from me. I know that you would like to hear from Pierre Edel, Premamaya Vasudeva Prabhu. So let's get right into the interview, and I hope you get inspired by a devotee that's using his talents in the service of Krishna.
Hare Krishna, this is Krishnendu Das, and I'm very happy today to speak to my new close friend, the world famous Pierre Edel, otherwise known as
Premamaya Vasudeva.
Premamaya Vasudeva Das. Yeah. And in case you couldn't tell by the name, he's a disciple of Jayapataka Swami.
Very well.
So, I'm very happy to be able to do this podcast today. It's been quite a while since I've done a podcast, but when I started speaking with Prema Prabhu the other night, there were so many interesting topics. I just thought, what am I doing? We're just talking, the two of us. We should be sharing this with the world, with all the devotees. So here we are, doing the podcast. And Prabhu, why don't you just give us a little bit of introduction about yourself? What's your background and how you came in contact with Krishna consciousness?
So I was born and raised in Paris, France. I was born in 1987, and I grew up there. And since I have also Slavic roots, Ukrainian and Russian roots, and Austrian roots also, I used to go to Moscow travel to Moscow once in a while, maybe once a year. And in 2010, I met the devotees there in Moscow. And I found it really cool. The philosophy, the ahimsa, vegetarianism. So I became vegetarian. And I was very much interested in the mantra, because as a musician, the musical part of it was the main thing about this movement for me, because I immediately could find a place for me in this Hare Krishna community. So I was never alone. I always had something to do, some service. And it was cool. And also I was very much interested in Shastra and Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. So everything was cool about the theory, at least.
Yeah, so you mentioned that you're a musician.
Yep.
Tell us about your background, before you became a devotee, how did you learn music and get involved in it? And how did that connect with Krishna consciousness as you came?
I've learned a little bit of piano and classical music and musical theory when I was a little kid, 6, 7, 8 years old. I used to go to the conservatoire in Paris, and I had private lessons. I played my first shows, and then at age 13 I started playing the electric guitar and singing in a band. We had a school band. I had my first bands and gigs, and since then it never stopped. When I turned 18, I went to London. It was a school called the Vocal Tech Music School, and it was really interesting. I studied there for a couple of months, and later on I went to a show called The Voice in France in 2014. Then I was invited to the same show in Russia, and then again to this show, The Voice in Ukraine. And so I did it 3 times in 3 different countries. Yeah. And so, that's, I was, when I met the devotees in 2010, I just heard these mantras, and I really liked the fact that there's this process of question and answer. The leader sings it once, and then everybody repeats after him. And I found it really cool, a cool way to focus on what you're doing, focus on the singing, on the meaning of the words of the mantra, and it's also a cool way to improvise. I like the fact that you can use any instrument, any musical genre, any melody to serve Krishna, basically. So in 2014 I released an album called Mantras, and it's all mantras with a rock or bluesy background. You can find some of these on YouTube. We made a couple of videos. They just Jaya Radha Madhava and Radha Tattva, Hare Krishna, and lots of different mantras.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit more about The Voice. You mentioned you entered it 3 times. That was, something that's the first time I got to hear about you was, through The Voice on Facebook.
Yeah.
Tell us about that experience. That's something pretty special.
It was amazing. I was invited to the auditions back, I think, in 2014 to France, and I thought, I was selected, and I went on through what they call the battles and several stages in the competition. And at some point, you reach the live shows, which is really exciting. And so before I could sing on the live shows, I had 2 months. They gave us 2 months to take a break, and I went to Mayapur, and a very good friend of mine, Madhusudan Prabhu, who's also an amazing musician, lives in Mayapur. He took me to this desire tree, the Kalpa Riksha, and he said, you can ask something and maybe make a vow. So I made that wish that I wanna, I wanna succeed, and I wanna be famous in my hometown in Paris. I wanna be a big rock star and everything. And I was like, in exchange, I will preach and I will try to make you famous, actually, through the fame that you would give me. Oh Lord. But when I came back, I totally forgot about it. And so, I've lost that live show, and I had to leave the show. And then I thought, what didn't it work? And then I just realized that I wasn't thinking of my vow. I was only thinking of what I expected from Krishna. And so I was kind of upset, but it was funny, and it was a good lesson also. And so like 3 or 4 months later, I was invited to the Voice of Russia, totally unexpectedly. And this was kind of a second chance. So I thought, what I'm gonna do is I'm really gonna think about, making Srila Prabhupada's movement and Krishna famous. I'm not gonna think about myself. So I would wear this big Jagannath t-shirt, and then a Krishna t-shirt, and then a big Prabhupada t-shirt. And as I mentioned before, there was this TV guy who asked me during the show, who's this man on your shirt? And I was like, this is my grandpa. And everybody in Russia, they very much liked this phrase. So everybody remembers this little funny bit of, this is my grandpa. I don't know, it just popped into my mind. So it worked. It worked, and I started to work a lot as a musician in Russia. And then came the Voice of Ukraine, and there I thought, I've already did the thing with the shirts and the t-shirts on, so I'm gonna do something else. And I've asked a very nice guy from Carlo and Son. They do this, it's a company who makes earplugs, which I wear, and they did these Jagannath earplugs for me. So I went on to the Voice of Ukraine with these Jagannaths and Kantimals, and I thought, why not put on a tilak? And then, there you go. I have over 10 million views on this video with the tilak. Most of the people think it's a tattoo, actually, because it's a Radhakund tilak, it's black. So there it is. It was funny. It was cool. It was a good experience.
So how far did you get on that Ukraine voice? Did you win the whole thing, or you were in the finals?
I didn't go very far. I didn't even get to the point of. I didn't even get to the live shows. So I did only 3 performances on the Ukrainian voice, whereas on the French and Russian I did 4, or even 5 on the French, something like that version of it. So It didn't last too long for me in Ukraine, but it was very effective. So I started receiving emails and Facebook messages from all around the world, and also from devotees from all around the world. And it was crazy, from Latin America, US, New Zealand, Australia, Iran, African countries, Asian countries. And this is why I'm here today. If it wasn't for this video, I guess Ronil wouldn't have found out about me, and I wouldn't be here today. So yeah, it was fun and useful.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah,
because we were watching that video. I mean, I didn't know where you placed in the competition, but we all knew that video. It was just like, wow, and it just went viral like anything.
Yeah, I've noticed that. It doesn't really matter how far you go in the competition, because eventually there's a new season and everybody forgets about the prior season. So this is just a good advertisement, and one should just take everything that he can from this TV advertisement. That's all. The show in itself doesn't give you any I'd say, how do you say in English? I don't know, I forgot the word.
Something like celebrity status or something? Or
Yeah.
changes your life?
Yeah, it doesn't really change your life. Yeah.
It sounds like you got a lot of connections, like from being on it. You said you got a lot of contact. Was that mostly from devotees that contacted you, or all kinds of people?
Well, not mostly, because out of 10 million people, most cannot be devotees. I had really contacts from many different people. Just, music fans and people who like old school rock. Not everyone sings Led Zeppelin in 2016 on TV. So, mostly rock fans. And then there's all the yoga people from all around the world. When they found out that I was interested in the Hare Krishna movement, you had yoga people and Buddhists and Shiva Bhaktas and Vedantists from all different kinds of sampradayas, and so it's interesting. It's interesting. I was invited to different yoga fests and mantra festivals and all that stuff. So it opened a whole new possibilities for me of working with different kinds of people in different countries. Yeah, so it was a big change in my life.
Yeah, it sounds like like you say, it opened doors and created
exactly.
a whole lot of opportunities that weren't there before.
Yeah.
So what's ahead for you now? After.
I'm doing my songs. I'm writing songs. I've been writing songs since I'm 15, and I'm uploading them on my YouTube channel. We have 2 songs uploaded this year. One called Breaking Chains and the other one called Shower of Tears. And I'm playing guitar on these tracks. I have my musicians. We're doing live shows in different countries, different cities, playing this strange kind of progressive rock. It's not like it's not strictly commercial. I'm very much influenced by progressive rock bands like Rush and King Crimson and Frank Zappa, and maybe jazz like Miles Davis and classical music, and then of course just hard rock music, Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, and Whitesnake, and I blend it up, and it's just the music that I like to sing and that I like to perform. So hopefully I'll be able to do this another couple of years at least. Yeah. You never know.
Yeah, nice. So being a professional musician, you've got probably a perspective on music that the regular devotee might not have. What sort of things might you have you sort of observed about kirtan that might help us to understand a little bit more of the musical side of how to perform kirtan nicely so that it's attractive for people?
Well, performing kirtan is like performing any other genre of music. It has to be nice, it has to be tasty, it has to be enjoyable, it has to be understandable. And just look at Madhava. He's doing it right. He's doing it the way everyone is supposed to do it. I mean, you can hear everything. You can hear... you can feel the pace, you can hear the proper melody. He gives you time to get into the melody, and you can feel his mood. And it's always very simple. I say the main thing is to keep it simple, because we cannot do... we can do everything with the Maha Mantra, of course, but when it comes to kirtan, and we have to get people involved in it, well, it has to be tasty, really. And in my opinion, the worst that can happen is having more than one karatal player and more than one mridanga. So only one mridanga, only one karatal player, and they have to be really quiet, really peaceful, not speeded up. It's not that we want to show off our abilities to play fast and to do complicated fills on the harmonium or on any other instrument, and this is what everyone wants to do. The neophyte, I mean, I'm exactly the same. When we just learn something new, we want to show it off. We want to show it, and we can't even properly play it if it's a fill, for example, or a high note or a fast rhythm, and actually we're not playing, we're just rehearsing in front of a crowd, and this is horrible. It's just it ruins it all. So everything has to be very, very simple. You have to play only the rhythms and melodies that you can play with eyes closed and not having to think about it. So you can enjoy the kirtan and listen to the other musicians and check out the crowd. Because if it's too complicated for you, you're gonna be so absorbed in playing it right, technically speaking, that you're just gonna forget about the tempo and the other musicians and what's going on with the crowd. So your consciousness will be very narrow, focused only on what you are doing and struggling with it. And the other thing is, I think, to always communicate with the crowd, smile to them, and joke with them, and give them a chance to do whatever they want to do. Someone wants to, I don't know, if they want to clap their hand, let them clap their hand. If they want to dance, let them dance, etc., etc. And always ask them to sing louder and to invite them into the kirtan. It has to be something we're doing all together, not that it's the leader and then the musicians and then the crowd. We have to be all together in this process. Yeah.
So what would you say are some of the typical mistakes that devotees make when they're leading kirtan or playing the instruments in kirtan?
Well, I can say what mistakes I do. I'm speeding up the tempo, but I'm on the harmonium, so nobody can notice it. But when you're playing on a rhythm instrument like mridanga or karatals, everybody notices it, and it's a pain for the singer, because he has to speed up his chanting. And if he doesn't want to, it's gonna break the mood. So if you want to speed up the tempo, it has to be done on purpose, and the leader has to ask for it. So the big mistake of the mridanga and karatal players is they're playing for themselves. They're playing too loud, they're playing too fast, too complicated, and they always have to depend on the singer. They have to play very quiet, very simple, very slow, and they speed up only if the leader asks them to speed up. And all the musicians have to look at each other all the time. It's very, very important. Sometimes I want to reach out to some, mridanga player or violin player, violinist or flutist or whatever, or guitar player. And he is completely absorbed in, I don't know what he's absorbed in. And I don't know. He doesn't even check out on the other musicians, so I have to shout and ask him to do whatever I want him to do. Like do a solo or speed it up or slow it down or whatever. So this is not good. We have to communicate. But then again, to learn how to do it, we have to practice. It's not that, by just doing it once in a week or once in 2 weeks, you're going to get to it. We should always practice every day, at least 10 minutes of kirtan altogether. Mm. I mean, it's our basic practice, chanting Hare Krishna, so this should be the most important thing. It's just as important as japa, maybe even more important, because congregational chanting is even more powerful than personal japa chanting. And I guess this is it. That's the biggest mistake. We have to listen to each other much more.
It's interesting because when you talk about that, it reminds me of the basic principle of Kanishta Vaishnava, beginning devotee, the Madhyama and the Uttama, the Kanishta is just thinking it's just me and Krishna and no one else. Yeah. And you can see it in the kirtan sometimes, someone's on the mridanga and they're going blah, 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 and everyone's just like looking at him and he's in his own world completely, and everyone's like, what is that guy doing? But he's just like,
Yeah.
But then the more advanced level is when you actually recognize, there's other devotees, and they're also playing, and we can interact with each other, and we try to play, for example, the mridanga in a way that's pleasing to the other devotees, and
yeah, of course,
expanding our consciousness that way.
Exactly. I'm doing the same mistake. Sometimes I'm taking I'm singing too high, and it's too difficult for the men to sing. But then it brings up all these beautiful female voices, and I like it. It has to be a game. It has to be fun. I like to listen to other kirtaniyas and steal their ideas. For example, making only the ladies sing and then only the guys sing. For example, we had this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra chanting in I think was it in Vrindavan, and I had Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, only the guys singing, and then Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, only the girls, and then switching it. And it always has to be fun, because of course it's a meditation, but it doesn't have to be boring, and we can do all sorts of stuff. There's this Radhe Radhe Shyam Shyam thing. There's all these question and answers. You can ask the rhythmic section to stop playing. Then again, you can ask the melodic section to stop playing, having only voices and mridanga and karatals, or only voices and harmonium. Speed up the tempo on purpose, of course, slow it down on purpose, sometimes change the melody. All sorts of stuff, and sometimes you can just have the harmonium and the little karatals keep on playing, but you cool it down, and you can maybe say something or quote some acharya, or just tell a story. It can be a funny story, it can be a very serious story, I don't know. But just keep it alive. Madhava does this, and I think it's good. I think everybody should do it their own way. It's a personal thing, so everyone should do it in a personal way. And even if you don't have a beautiful voice, and even if you're not a professional musician, if you have enough charisma or sense of humor, or whatever you want to put in your performance, your kirtan, you can do it. And it should be interesting, it should be fun, always.
It's interesting you say that, because Madhava, is basically a disciple of Ayendra in the Kirtan line, right?
Yeah.
And yet his style is so different from Ayendra's.
Oh, completely.
It's totally unique.
It has nothing to do.
Yeah. So from your background, like, you've got this like hard rock kind of side, and then the Kirtan is like seems like two different worlds. How does it interact for you, and how do you sort of?
Well, I don't see any difference, because I sing melodies that could be hard rock song choruses, or it could be rock anthems. Actually, sometimes I use rock songs, and I just sing Hare Krishna above it. If it works. Some it doesn't have it should not be obvious. I'm not gonna take We Are the Champions or Kiss by a Rose, or I don't know, like Candle in the Wind. I'm not gonna take a big hit and chant Hare Krishna on the melody. It's so cheesy, and some devotees do this, and I find it really cheesy. But anyway,
it's distracting, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not, it's too much. But sometimes I use songs that people don't really know, and I use the chord sequences. And I would chant Hare Krishna or something else, maybe Om Namah Shivaya or whatever, Jaya Radha Madhava, on this chord sequence, adapting the melody to it. Or I write my own melodies. On YouTube, I have 2 different versions of Jaya Radha Madhava, which I've wrote. I have a Hare Krishna Autumn melody, it's called, which I wrote also. And I think we should enjoy it, and the mind should enjoy it also, and our hearing should enjoy it also. It has to be good, it has to be tasty, it has to be sweet. So we should choose a melody and a chord sequence that we really like. And it's kind of strange because this movement has been living online for over 50 years, and I find that we have quite a narrow, short range of rock Hare Krishna mantras, or I don't know. I mean, yes, there is George Harrison, but then again, how many songs has he done? Like real bhajans or kirtans, maybe 10 or 20 or 30, I don't know. He has this beautiful double album, but apart from that, we don't have a very wide choice of musical, modern musical mantras. For example, there's this Polish band Omkara. They do Krishna core, hardcore punk, Hare Krishna, and it might appeal to someone. There's this reggae album, I forgot how it's called. And then, of course, there's Ilan Chester's Symphony of the Soul, Havidas. This would be like perfection. This is what we should all, if we are Vaishnavas and musicians, we should all, this should be our Bible. But there's not enough original Hare Krishna music, I think. Mantras, modern mantra melodies with modern instruments that are not cheesy. There's a lot of cheesy stuff out there. Vaishnavas doing music, but I would prefer to hear musicians who became Vaishnavas and who are using their musical skills to make interesting mantra music. There's this duet, how they're called, Rasa. Yeah, they have an album called Union, and this is so tasty. It's just wow. I think they're from some Gaudiya Math. Then there's Krishna Das, who's been singing with Sting, on this Mountain Hare Krishna track. There's Nina Hagen. She's done a couple of mantras, but that's not enough. We need more. We need more quality Vaishnav music. And so the possibilities are endless because there are no such thing as a sacred instrument. The mantra is sacred, but there are no sacred melodies or sacred instruments. We do whatever we want with any style of music, any instruments, any melodies. And actually, I'd like to read a quote from Prabhupada. I just found it a couple of days ago, and it's a very interesting quote. So it has to do with music. And just a second, I'm gonna find it. The chanting does not depend for its effectiveness upon performance in any particular time or place or state of purity. That's from the Hari Bhakti Vilas. But that's not what I wanted to say. Regardless of time or place, one who chants the holy name even while eating or sleeping attains all perfection. That's from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya-lila 2018. And there's another one, I can't find it right now, but it was, here it is. A conversation turned to the upcoming program at the Avalon Ballroom. That's from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, chapter 22. Don't you think there's a possibility of chanting a tune that would be more appealing to Western ears? Allen Ginsberg asked. Any tune will do, said Prabhupada. Melody is not important. What is important is that you will chant Hare Krishna. It can be in the tune of your own country. Doesn't matter. You see, so that's very important, I think. Everyone should be capable and able to express themselves inside the Hare Krishna mantra chanting. And as you mentioned, Madhava, being a disciple of Ahendra, musically speaking, he has a totally different style. And this freedom is very important, I think.
Yeah, awesome. So I respect your time, and time is ticking away a little bit here.
I have all my time.
Nice. Is there anything that you would like to say, just sort of to end the interview here? Like on this podcast, the theme is essentially to do what you love for Lord Chaitanya and satisfy your soul.
Yeah.
It's one of my kind of like sayings.
Yeah.
That we're encouraging devotees to find their talents and then use it in the service of Krishna.
Yeah.
So have you got anything to say about that, or any other comments about our society, or anything that you think could be helpful?
Well, I'm a lost soul, so I prefer to have intelligent people speaking, or maybe reading their quotes. But what I feel now in this stage of my life is that you can't give happiness to people, and I mean what we call preaching. I don't really like this word. I prefer the word sharing. You can't share anything if you don't have it. You can't share or preach, whatever word you prefer, happiness if you're not happy. And so it is very important that we feel that we are satisfied in our own life, I think, before we can start to share this happiness. That's how I feel. And thinking that it doesn't matter what state of or condition we're in is kind of, how would I say that? We have a human side to our life. We're spirit souls, okay, but in this moments of our experience in the world, we're in the material world right now, and so we have to accept this human and material, gross material and subtle material side to our existence. So if we're gonna starve, we're not going to be happy, so we're not going to be able to happily chant Hare Krishna unless we are saints, But we're not Haridas Thakur, we're not Narottam Das Thakur, we're not, we're not saints, most of us, at least. So what I would say is that it's important to feel that I'm happy and satisfied before I can move on to make other people happy and satisfied. But of course, if you live in New Zealand, I think chances are that you are happy and satisfied. So don't take it for granted. This is heaven on earth. This is once again the best version of ISKCON I've ever met in my whole life. So you guys are really lucky to live here in Auckland, New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's cool. Hare Krishna.
Thanks for coming here. It's awesome. Look forward to seeing you here again. If someone wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that? Through YouTube, or? You
can leave a comment on YouTube. I have my email everywhere, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram. You'll find my email, 8bltat, 8bltat@gmail.com. There's Instagram, Pierre Edel Music. Facebook, same, Pierre Edel Music. YouTube is Mr. Pierre Edel, Mr. Pierre Edel. It's really easy to get in touch with me.
And you'll probably see your video on Facebook still. It's probably still going around.
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm uploading new pictures and videos from Holi. And so you'll find me there.
So there you have the interview with Pierre Edel, Premamaya Vasudeva Prabhu. If you go to the website, successfulvaishnavas.com/16, you'll be able to find a short video with Prabhu as well. And I'll also upload the video of him performing on The Voice, so you can check that out. While you're there, make sure you're on the email list so I can keep you updated when each episode comes out, and also let you know if there's any courses, or the next time that we open up the membership for the Empower and Preach membership program. To find out more about that, just go to successfulvaishnavas.com, and you'll find that there's a chooser where you can let me know which is the area you'd like help with the most, And you can sign up for the waiting list, and as I say, I'll let you know when the membership next opens up. So with that, I'll sign out. I look forward to seeing you at the next episode. Make your life successful. Hare Krishna.
Thanks for listening. To find out more, go to successfulvaishnavas.com.
Whatever little service that anyone can do for Krishna is to be appreciated and celebrated.
Just give this life to Krishna.
We know that they have much more potential than they're presently using.
I went to a place of relishing the activity and letting go of the result completely.
You just associate with pure devotees. Then you shall be able to cross over the ocean of Nisaya.